Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome on into the Swear Word. I'm your host, Brandon Swear, and hey, this is a podcast for the chilihead community, by the chilihead community. Regardless of your spice tolerance, this is the place for you. Up tonight, we have an amazing episode, locked and loaded, ready to go. We have a very great guest planned, as well as the sauce bracket is back on deck. So episode 169 starts now. What's going on, Swear Nation? So glad to have everyone here, whether you're tuning in on YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, and or Apple Podcasts. Thank you for being here and making this podcast what it is. Continue to share this out with other like-minded chili heads or individuals that are just curious about the world of hot, because this is where you can find everything to do with the world of hot. Up tonight, we have Richard from Swindle Sauces here as our guest, and we're going to be diving on into Swindle Sauce, the name behind it, the branding, the inspiration, and so much more, and the overall journey and path. Not to mention, we have a very fun Sauce Gauntlet iteration number 25 for all of those at home keeping track. So if you would have answered the Sauce Gauntlet any different than Richard did, let me know down below in the comments. Would love to hear where you would have taken the winner. So without further ado, let's go ahead and kick it on over to the interview. Hey, Richard, how's it going?
Good, Brandon. How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Doing great. Glad to have you here. Obviously, I've seen, stuff circulating throughout social media, heard things about your overall company, your sauces, etc. And honored to have you here and learn a little bit more about Swindle Sauces.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Well, the only set question and the one thing I ask everyone is the icebreaker, which is what got you into the world of hot? And then what was that catapulting moment that you said, you know what, enough's enough, I'm going to start making my own sauces?
Yeah, so culinary for me, it's always been my passion since I was a kid. I remember being a kid and playing restaurant at my mom and dad's house and acting like I was a server and taking their order, going to the kitchen and making food for them like a sandwich or something. And I was probably one of the only kids I knew at that time that was watching the Food Network. I'm 38, so my biggest role model back then was Emeril Lagasse. Um, so fast forward to high school, I decided that I wanted to go into culinary school. So I attended Le Cordon Bleu in Atlanta. Um, Spent a year there, so I got my associate's degree in culinary arts. And what was really cool is Atlanta, the Georgia Aquarium hosted an event where they got 50 of Atlanta's top, chefs and restaurants around the area, and Emeril Lagasse hosted it. So I did get to meet Emeril Lagasse. I got a picture with him, so that was like a childhood dream come true. Um, I ended up after culinary school, got a job at the Ritz Carlton, Amelia Island, Florida, and then spent some time at the downtown Atlanta property before having to make a decision to switch careers to, make it better living for my family. I just had my first baby,
Congratulations.
Elena, and then I appreciate it. And then my oldest one, Aubrey, she's about to be 16, which is hard to believe. So uh, after that, I got into the cable industry. That was around 2013. Then I started growing peppers as a hobby. And what do you do with all the peppers you get? You try and make hot sauce. That was my first time. I've made plenty of sauces before as a chef, but never a hot sauce. So I played around with it. I made about 4 or 5 different sauces, and one that really kind of stuck with me, I call it my OG, which is now my tropical smoke. Originally, it was made with yellow Superhot peppers, uh, pineapple, garlic, onion, and then I had tequila and agave nectar in there, which now there's no alcohol in it. The sauce is actually smoked. And then I found a Facebook community through a buddy, Matt Stovall. He invited me to it. It was called the Hot Sauce Underground, um, and that's where I met, some of my friends that I still talk to today. Greg Dooley, Brad Bishop. They're the ones that kind of lured me in and got my sauce out there, and they tried it. We actually had a little hobby grower, or not a hobby grower, but like a hobby hot sauce maker group that we were in, and Brad hosted a hot sauce competition pretty much called the National Pepper League, and I ended up winning. It was like my first time ever making like a legit sauce. I got first place. It was cool. Everyone's like, "Oh, you should do this, full time, start your own business and everything." And um, I went for it back then, but the timing wasn't right, to go legit. So from that time, 2013, all the way up until last year, it was on and off making hobby sauces. I never went full force with it. But last year, I found an opportunity where I was in between jobs. I had downtime. That same group of friends did another hot sauce competition for fun to get everyone back into it. Brad wanted to do more pepper reviews, hot sauce reviews, and it was like a honey based competition. So we did that. It got my passion back. And in February last year, that's when Swindle Sauce was born as a legit company. And it's been full force, since then. So it's been great. It's been a great, well, last year was a great year. And this one's even crazier so far. It's just January. So
Very nice. That's awesome to hear, and yeah, to be able to, I guess, really be from an early age brought into that, and to be able to really highlight, I guess, things that were a passion and an inspiration for you at such a young age, and then to kind of have that all line up, and not only
yeah.
get the training, get everything done, but then meet the idol. That's so cool to see and hear. It's one of those like wins that just help kind of push and be the catalyst to continue growth. And so it's always awesome to hear that. Now with the competitions and really getting into that, I guess really getting back into the swing of things, did you find a bit refreshing, I guess, almost to kind of jump back into the more creative side of things?
Yeah, it definitely was. And I mean, getting started, I had my, two OG sauces that I've already had my recipes written down for. Um, Over the years, I had them written down by weight. So I knew that sauce, once I made it, was going to come out the same product that it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And then, of course, with making bigger batches now, I had to scale that recipe. Um, the other OG sauce that I had is my Macho Verde. That was one I made where everyone just absolutely loved because it was smooth, creamy consistency. And still to this day, everyone's like, "Oh, I love your verde, I love your verde," and I'm like, "I appreciate it. That's awesome. It's really cool." And then even, um, starting a company and then going to farmers markets, which I did my first farmers market last June, which was really really awesome because I sold 43 bottles, and I guess that's really good for especially being your first farmers market.
Yeah.
But and then I was like, well, I need more sauces. So everyone would come up to me at the farmers market, and I'm in Florida. Do you have a daddle pepper sauce? I'm like, well, no. So I start doing my research. I find a local pepper farmer. His name is Troy with Mayhem Daddle Farms. I've actually visited a couple of times, but awesome guy. Huge farm. He grows them from seed to full plant fresh every year too. He doesn't recycle his plants. I was like, well, I'll come up with a daddle sauce. So I did. I just wanted to keep the daddle pepper sauce like straightforward. So it was just roasted daddles, roasted garlic, caramelized onion, um, salt, and like a little bit of sugar to kind of keep the heat down a little bit. People loved it. And then at the farmers markets, it wasn't really performing well. They were going towards the other sauces. So I actually rebranded it, come up with a new version of.
What did you end up having to do for that daddle sauce? What was it that they didn't like versus what you were having to do?
Yeah, so it wasn't like, I guess, fun enough for people because it was just straight daddle pepper, garlic, and onion. I mean, people loved it, but they went with my other sauces first, so it was just kind of sitting there, especially at the farmers markets. I did have one customer out west that loved it, and he actually ended up buying like what I had left over in stock. So I ended up coming up with a peach and honey combination with it, but I still wanted to keep the true daddle flavor up forward because there's a lot of daddle sauces that just you can't taste the daddle. You just taste a bunch of sweetness, and yeah, there's daddle in there. That's cool, but you want to taste that Florida native pepper. So that's what I did. So you get the Dattle Pepper up forward. Dattle Peppers, they're around 300,000 Scoville heat units. So they do pack a punch like a habanero. I do believe they're kind of in the same family as well. But and then you get the peach and honey on the back note. So it's still very enjoyable. I mean, that one it'll be perfect on pork chops, any kind of fried food. I mean, even throw it on your breakfast biscuit in the morning or like a cheese board if you're into like charcuterie or cheese boards and stuff like that too. That'd pair really well with that.
Absolutely. That sounds amazing. Now, I
Appreciate
guess
it.
from the creative standpoint of, obviously having the culinary background, you had mentioned you didn't really like experiment too much with hot sauces per se until really, I guess venturing out into these competitions aspect side of things. But to be able or really growing and having the excess peppers, but the idea of, I guess, being able to deeply develop these different sauces based off of just other flavor profiles that you are familiar with, things that do work. Did you find that to be a nice advantage for you, or is that something that you are still trying to find, I guess, some nice cohesion between some of these peppers and say some of the other ideas of sauces that you have in mind?
Yeah, I found it coming up with these different sauces, which I've got five on my lineup at the moment. Coming up with the flavor profiles was pretty easy. Um, the for instance, like the ghost pepper sauce that I have, Phantom Fire, that was my smoked Fresno pepper. Um, but it's also got a little bit of ghost pepper in there because I want the heat to hit you in the back of the throat and not up front. So you get the smokiness, the sweetness from the pineapple in there. It's also got roasted garlic, and that's one thing I do with all my sauces is all five of my sauces I roast the garlic for about 2 hours in the oven until they turn golden brown
Hmm.
and they're just mushy. And I think that adds you still get the garlic flavor, but it adds a touch of flavor into the sauce as well, like another layer of it. So, um, and for me personally, I make sauces like how I want to eat them. uh, all my sauces, you'll find the consistency. They're smooth. I blend them twice. I use one of the big stick blenders, and then before bottling, I'll go ahead and throw it in the Vitamix blender that I have, and that just gives it. It's not too thick and it's not too thin, so it's a nice pour out of the bottle. So when you put it on your food, you're not losing the sauce. Like it just doesn't fall to the bottom of the plate. It coats it well, and a little bit goes a long way with flavoring the food that you're trying to enjoy that with.
Absolutely, and something you just touched on perfectly. It resonates very well. It's one of the main reasons why, and this is like picking Chevy versus Ford. This is like doing all these great rivals, the great debates. The whole reason why I like to put my hot sauces in the fridge is very much true to what you were just saying, because you're not always guaranteed that the sauce that you are getting is going to be able to be thicker or have more hold, etc. And it's not to say that every sauce has to be that way, because there's different use cases, different purposes, etc. But
Right.
that's one of the main reasons as to why, regardless of whether the sauce is already naturally thicker or not, I'll put it in the fridge, because I personally enjoy, if I'm got a nice hot meal going on. If you can put that sauce on top of a hot meal, whenever the heat from the food awakens the sauce, it kind of finds the crevices to make it a much more well-rounded, even bite. And very true to what you're saying in the sense of the process in which you're going about it, it allows for the same aspect to take place. So very cool to hear that and to see that really in action, because underutilized bite of food is just as upsetting as not having hot sauce on it. So
Exactly.
okay, all right, I like it. And so I guess from you initially had the two sauces, and you were kind of working from there. What was the inspiration, I guess, for those two sauces? Was it like a seeing a need for something in the market that didn't already exist? Was it pairing for a certain dish? Like, what was that overall breakdown?
Yeah. So there's like a lot of sauces that I've seen that come that aren't really smoked. Like for my Phantom Fire, like if they're smoky or smoked, it's more than likely got chipotle pepper in it or artificial flavoring, smoke flavoring, which I smoke all my peppers and fruit myself for my sauces. Being a chef, I just can't see myself putting drops of smoky liquid in it and then calling it smoked. That's just not how I would like to do that. And um, when of course, when you come up with a new sauce, you do your research, you see what's out there, and that's kind of how I came out because I haven't really seen a daddle pepper sauce with peach and honey in it. I've seen tons of barbecue sauces or like ketchup-y style daddle sauces, and I figured that this would be the perfect opportunity to come up with something different. I've got a lot of great feedback from my daddle sauce actually that people just love it. I've had somebody say that's the best daddle sauce that they've ever had. Um, and then the last sauce that I actually did come out with, which is the fifth one on my lineup, was the Reaper Riptide. Um, Coming up with that one, I wanted to be hot, but then most of my market is for the average person because I do farmers markets and festivals, locally here in Florida. I'm actually in Palm Coast, in between Daytona and St. Augustine. So that's actually my older label. I have to update the website once I start rolling out another batch with the new labels on it. I just kind of upgraded the graphics on it, but
Okay.
uh, I added mango raspberry because mango's very sweet, but raspberry is tart. So those two kind of balance each other out. Adding also the roasted garlic and the caramelized onion to it, it kind of gives it a savory note. So it does have fruit in there, but it's more of a savory sauce. So you're not just tasting straight up sweet fruity sauce. And some people might be turned off on that, but I've had people at farmers markets try that and like, well, I wasn't expecting that. That's actually really good.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, it with the roasted garlic and the fruit in there, you're not going to get heat right away. You're going to get all the flavor, and then that's when the Reaper heat kind of creeps up on you. And they're actually supplied to me from a grower out in Tampa. His name is Ben. He's a chef as well. He does catering and he's got a big pepper farm out there. So he's able to get me yellow Carolina Reapers year round. So originally it was supposed to be a limited batch sauce until I found out that he could get Reapers for me all year, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my fifth and final sauce, and I'm gonna keep it at five sauces as far as my main lineup. People that have been following me, I've done like limited sauces, like I just did a toasty apple pie hot sauce for the holidays.
Sounds
That one
great.
did really well. Yeah, and then throughout the year, I'll just come out with one-time drops just to kind of change it up, give people something that they're excited about to look forward to kind of, hey, I tried his new sauce, and it's just fun to create something new, outside of the five usual sauces on my lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've noticed that to become, it's always kind of been there on the forefront for many different products in general, but you're seeing it now become more prevalent in the hot sauce world in general, these more seasonals, these rotationals. And I absolutely love that because very true to what you're saying. Like, you know, a sauce company may have like in particular you have five sauces you may be used to making those sauces at a certain point. Obviously it's not right now, but at a certain point that does end up becoming a little bit monotonous. You're used to it, you kind of start to lose a little bit of the spark because you like have that creative juices that you want to get out there. You want to start tinkering with things, and to have those outlets, those seasonal drops, it's great for those fans. It's great for you. It's great for everyone involved. And I definitely love seeing those because, hey, you might try it. It might come out as a seasonal sauce, and all of a sudden you have the
Yeah,
next big hit, right? And it's just
exactly.
all by having fun.
Yep, definitely.
Well, the one thing that was really standing out there that I wanted to touch on with the daddle sauce. You mentioned the honey aspect. Are you doing daddle infused honey as well there, or how does that play out?
No, so the honey I use wildflower honey, and towards the end of the cooking process of the sauce, I add the honey, probably about 20 minutes before it's ready to blend. Because if you're sitting there boiling your sauce 212 degrees, then down to 200 degrees,
Mm-hmm.
to have that proper temperature before you bottle, it's gonna start to caramelize, and
Yep.
then it could change the whole flavor profile of the sauce with that. So I got to be careful with that. So I always add it in towards the end of the cooking process, so you can still get a natural sweetness and that real honey flavor in there, without that deep caramelized flavor, because that's definitely not something that I wanted to go for with that sauce.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely, and I see that happen a lot with those that are kind of working and manipulating with honey in different ways. If they're heating it in particular, because if you heat it
Mhm.
to a certain point, very true to what you're saying, the caramelization, that kind of aspect, you start to lose that shine, that sheen, that cohesion that comes from like the beneficial side of just adding it later
Yeah.
on or at lower heat. But you also lose out on the healthy, beneficial side of it. Definitely from a wild flower type of like raw honey aspect. Like those areas for people, obviously they're not looking for it specifically just in a sauce, but those people that are conscious of that, when you get it to a certain temperature, you do start to lose some of those beneficials, or it starts to diminish those overall. And so to
Mhm.
hear that that's worked in towards the end is absolutely great, because one, true to what you're saying, you're keeping that flavor nice, bold, and present, but you're also still keeping the beneficials to it as well. So
Yeah.
very cool there. I like it.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Yeah, I mean, not to mention, yeah, I mean, it could always change the consistency too, because an extra 10, 15 minutes of cooking it, it'll become almost syrupy.
Hmm.
And that's something that will, like, well, why does this batch look different? That's just little things that us hot sauce makers have to watch out for when we're getting it out to the public. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. All right. Well, I do like I like everything that's kind of been going on, how you the journey that you've gone through, the inspiration, the aspects of focus and attention to detail. Now, has there been, I guess, now that you've I saw you had a graphic out the other day that was showcasing like where the states and so on that your sauces have made it to so far.
yeah.
Now, how has the overall like demand, the drive been? Have you found to see like, I mean, obviously Florida being there, being at the markets, probably
Yeah.
the highest, purchasing state. We'll put it that way at the
Yeah, for
moment.
sure.
But is there a state outside of Florida that's already starting to kind of like take hold?
Yeah, so I've been having a lot of orders come in from the West Coast, California, specifically, and then up north I've had some from New York and Maine pop in, and the Carolinas as well, south and north. Georgia, my home state, gets an order in every now and then from my brother, and a couple of childhood friends that tried my sauce when I first launched it, for support, and they're like, "Man, I'm just gonna keep buying sauce from you. It's so good." And it's crazy because since November was a busy month for me because it was my first festival. I signed up for Daddle Fest in Palatka down here in Florida, and then the very next week I was in Atlanta for Hot Sauce Festival in Atlanta. And then since that month, my online sales, like, I get an order at least every day, sometimes multiple. You know, online orders are weird sometimes. Sometimes you won't get an order at all.
Mm,
And then I actually just had an order come in overnight from Hawaii, which was really awesome because that was
very
one of the
nice.
states that wasn't listed on there. So people are noticing and they're like, "Well, hey, let me help Richard and Swindle Sauce out and show some support," which is much appreciated. And then I'm even shipping overseas. I just had an order go to Switzerland, and then before that, Denmark, Scotland. I've shipped a few orders up to Canada, and I've also been down under in Australia as well. So, um, more and more people are seeing me. I post daily because that's just my passion for it. I want people to try my product. You know, I know once they get the sauces, that they'll like them and hopefully turn into returning customers and everything. And I did have a big pop over the past weekend because Nelson, known as Craving Capsaicin, he reviewed two of my sauces, my Reaper Riptide and my Verde. So I've gained about 80 followers from that, and online sales just went, psh, which is
Very
which
nice.
is awesome. So
Yeah, no, that's great news. And I mean, it sounds like the overall word is traveling fast, overall excitement is definitely there. So, very cool to hear that, overall growth trajectory really just taken off for you.
yeah,
It's very very nice to see and very nice to hear. Now, obviously you're rolling out social media like you said. That's one of the things you're passionate about in that sense, and it's like you have all the creative going out, you're creating the sauces. I assume you're also still like labeling, packaging to send out, all these things all by yourself. Is there
yes.
is there anyone else that's helping you in this process yet, or is that something you're still working
I'm
towards?
I'm pretty much doing it by myself. I have a really, good work ethic. So when I get an order in, I make sure it gets shipped out the very next day. My packaging, I stay consistent with my packaging. I don't do any shortcuts. All my boxes, they get a black stamped logo, Swindle Sauce logo on all four sides of the box. I've got Swindle Sauce packing tape. Even the fragile stickers go on the same exact spot on the box. So when people get my package, it's an experience for them from the minute they pick it up at their doorstep. They open it up. The first thing they see is a business card and a sticker. Every order gets a Swindle Sauce sticker, and then I also have stickers on my website for all of my sauce logos as well. So that's something I just started because I did have a lot of requests for people to add on stickers with their orders and everything. And then at farmers markets, that was also something that was an idea thrown at me. So all that's full force for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great marketing effort, even for like farmers markets. Like, let's say someone comes up, tries it, etc. It's a great thing to, whether they buy it that moment or order from you online, having that sticker, potentially on someone's cup, on a fridge, on a, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a great way to get eyes on the brand without you actually having to dedicate the focus and time and effort to get people to see it.
Yeah.
So, very cool.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, even with the branding on the outside of the box, funny story is the UPS store that I go and drop my orders off every morning. There's a woman there. She was like, "Do you own a hot sauce company or something?" I say, "Yes, ma'am, I do." And then she was like, "Well, I'm gonna look you up. My husband loves hot sauce." So she's working there. She's seeing my product handed to her over the counter, and she's like, "Well, let me look this up." So I mean, that's something you never know who's gonna see it.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think something that I should have asked early on that just dawned on me again. What take us through? How did you come to the name Swindle Sauce? What was the thought process and all? The branding, the imagery. Obviously, you have the peppers as the main focal point, the live action
yeah,
caricatures. So,
yeah. Yeah, so the word swindle, it takes me back to my culinary days. For people that's worked in the restaurants, you know how it is in the back of the house. You're a completely different person back of the house and in front of the house. So you find ways to make dinner service fun. You say stuff. My word of choice was swindle, and I would say, yeah, we're gonna get swindled tonight. Like, in other words, we're gonna get really busy.
mhm.
I would do specials every other night. I would come up with, we would have sea bass as our catch of the day. I come up with a special for it, a starched vegetables, and then you always have to have a sauce with your special. So I would, as a joke, tell the servers, all right, well, this is the swindle sauce for the night, or do y'all try my swindle sauce? And it would just be like a beurre blanc or something on the plate, and it kind of stuck with everyone in the kitchen, and people started calling me the swindler. Um, and they would use the word swindle in sentences just to be funny, making jokes and everything. So, fast forward to 2013 when I was trying to come up with like a name for the sauce. It just hit me right then. I was like, I've never heard of anyone having a hot sauce company called Swindle. Um, there's always mixed reviews because technically the word swindle means like to swindle somebody, take something from somebody, and or I've had people say, "Is that your last name?" Because there's people with the last name Swindle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but from that point, it stuck on. It fits me. I'm a big Rocky Balboa fan, and I also used to play video games a lot. My gamer tag was Rocky Swindler 43, and 43 was my high school baseball number. So just it's been Swindle since the early days, and why not take that passion from my culinary days and turn it into a successful business? And that's where I'm at right now. So
Absolutely. No, that's very cool to hear. And yeah, that's initially what sparked the idea is because like you know, I know what the actual definition was, but I was like, there's clearly not that same connotation here. So I wanted to
yeah,
kind of
definitely a backstory to it.
yeah, I wanted to dive into that because it sounded interesting. There had to be something going on, and so
Yeah,
yeah, no, very very cool, and it makes perfect sense. I mean, everybody's kind of had some one way, shape, or form along their life, been had some kind of like wacky nickname or something going on,
yeah,
and yeah, for some of us, like you're saying, it does take hold and it just stays right. And there
yeah,
it's always fun because you can lean into it more, right? And so it's I mean that's the whole play on the word as well for the swear word is obviously
yeah,
a play on the name. And so it's fun things like that and getting a little bit more insight into the brand, into the thought process, the creative aspects that really continue the story and to fuel the overall drive for people to want to engage even more. So very awesome to see. Now,
yeah.
with your journey as you've gone through, launch, other people hyping you up, other people sharing the word, other people trying it, now becoming, love fans. Over that time frame, has there been like a moment where someone has either tried your product or, maybe there's someone that you were like, I really want them to have my sauce in their hands?
Um, yeah, I just found out a few months ago. I mean, it's kind of like a celebrity thing. So I just found out that Vanilla Ice lives in Palm Coast, and he does a fundraiser, or he owns a foundation for kids with a pizza company down here called the Bronx House. And one of my family friends posted a video of Vanilla Ice just out there rapping his classic OG song. And I was like, does he live in Palm Coast? And he was like, yeah, he's up here all the time. So the thought hit my head. I was like, maybe I can try and find him one day, get him to try my sauce, and see if he might do a collaboration with me. And of course, I want a picture with him. And I even told my girlfriend Ashley, I was like, I want to have him like sign my bottle, and I'm gonna keep it as a keepsake and everything. Um, but and then another, also as far as being in the hot sauce community and getting your name out there, you look for the biggest influencers, in your community, which in this case right now it's like Craven Capsaicin. Like he's the guy that eats all the crazy hot chilies, and he started noticing me and replying to my comments and stuff. And finally, I asked him, I was like, "Hey, do you want to try my sauce?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I hooked him up with a care package. I got him a Swindle sauce hat made. He shared it on his social media, and I mean that's the biggest thing any small batch hot sauce company would want is a shout out from someone that gets thousands of views daily.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's super cool. And then I guess with that kind of catalyst of the Vanilla Ice thing, how was his initial reaction to that?
so you're talking about like trying to get Vanilla Ice to try my
Yeah.
sauce and everything. It's a work in progress. I gotta
Oh,
catch
okay.
him.
Okay.
I gotta catch him at the event. So
Got it. I
um
got it. Okay.
I
I
when
misunderstood that. I thought you said that it happened, so that's why I was just asking
oh
how
no no no
that went. No, okay.
no,
Yeah,
that would be
he's
really cool though.
He's definitely for somebody, there's a lot of people that will create a song, or they'll have a music career in general, and then it's like the second that they either don't care to make music anymore, or whatever the case may be, it seems to be they kind of just fizzle out of the
Mhm.
limelight in that sense. But he has really just like stuck to it with different creative projects, and so definitely applaud him for that. Being able
Yeah, for
to
sure.
be crafty and to continue to find areas in which he can help. So very cool.
Yeah, and then I think you were the previous topic you kind of like touched on like how I came up with the branding of Swindle sauce as well. So you know, there's a lot of hot sauce companies out there, and you got to figure out something that works. Number one, like where you're at. I'm in Florida. Um, Ever since I was a kid, I've told my parents I've always wanted to live at the beach, which I live 8 minutes from the beach at the moment, and I need something to stick out to be different from the other companies. To when people walk by or see me online, they don't keep scrolling. They stop for a second to look at the artwork on the labels. And I wanted to keep like a whole beach theme and have a character for each of my sauces to kind of resemble that sauce to help it like showcase what it's about, and to to represent Swindle sauce. So that's how I kind of came up with that aspect of it. I get feedback all the time that people dig the artwork, they love the labels, and I think that's another thing that's kind of helping me out as well. Not just like a, here's my hot sauce. So
Yeah, it's definitely eye appealing. It definitely grabs your attention. And that part is very, very important. Obviously, if you can't get someone to pick up your bottle in the first place, they're not likely to try your product, which if they don't try your
mhm.
product, and that is the strong suit, then you're already kind of working at a disadvantage. So yeah, to have good, it doesn't mean that it always has to be like shock and awe factor, right? But you have to have some
Yeah,
kind of relevance to make them want to, engage in the first place.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure, man.
Well, one thing I do want to ask too, because obviously with the culinary background and outlook on things in general, is there a certain dish or type of food that you like to make personally that pairs best with, say, one of your sauces?
So there's something that I like to do on occasion. It's actually one of my girlfriend's favorite dinners that I make for her. I get a big old piece of chicken breast from our wholesale store down the road. It's BJ's. It's kind of like a Costco or Sam's Club, and I'll butterfly the chicken and then I'll pound it out really thin. I'll season both sides of the chicken. I'll cook some spinach off in a pan with some salt, pepper, garlic. And if you're trying to stuff a meat, you always
Mm.
want to cook like especially with spinach, it's a really high water content. So if you just put raw spinach in there, it's going to make your meat soggy and everything. So you always want to cook out the spinach, squeeze it out so it's completely dry, then chop it up a little bit, then add it in there. And I put any type of cheese in there, usually like a Monterey Jack or like a Swiss cheese or something. And then I'll take it and roll it, and then I'll wrap it in bacon, and then I'll pan sear the. It's called like a chicken roulade, like a rolled meat, and I'll pan sear until the bacon is rendered on the outside, and I'll throw it in my smoker and smoke it for about an hour, and then you pull that thing out, man, and it's nice and juicy and smoky and cheesy, and then
Mm.
I always go with Phantom Fire. That's my smoked Fresno sauce. That's my favorite sauce to go to. Um, the tropical smoke would also pair well with that one as well. That's my smoked pineapple habanero sauce. Both of those are like medium hot heat levels. Maybe it just depends on your heat tolerance. For me, it's like a 3 or a 4 out of 10 on the heat scale. And then even the Reaper Riptide, that one would go well with that one. And if you want, I mean, I can kind of talk about each sauce and what foods I think would pair
Yeah,
well with
yeah.
them. Um, so I was just talking about the tropical smoke. Anything grilled, smoked, tacos, eggs, pizza. all that would be good with the tropical smoke. My birthday sauce. This one, I'm gonna shout out my girlfriend again, Ashley. She cannot do heat, so she likes my mild verde sauce, and throw that on quesadillas, tacos, eggs, fish, shrimp, uh, like rice bowls for the people that like to eat healthy. All my sauces are 5 calories or lower, 0 calories. So my Phantom Fire, uh, you can toss this in some hot wings, put it on a burger, pork tenderloin, mac and cheese, spice up your homemade chili with it. I know it's kind of that time of the year. It's cold everywhere else but Florida. Well, except for today because it's like 30 degrees this morning. And then my daddle pepper sauce, I would say fried foods, fried chicken fingers, even wings would be really good with it. Salmon, um, shrimp as well. I mean, all my sauces are pretty savory, so they all pair really well with um, any foods. And then my Reaper Riptide, the mango raspberry, perfect wing sauce for people that love heat. It is hot, but it's not going to kill you. The heat kind of disappears quickly after you eat it, so you get like the Reaper, and then it kind of diminishes away. And then if you're one of them people that love hot sauce and they're adventurous with it, just you could throw that one on some ice cream too.
Very nice. I like it, and I think there's quite a few that obviously I could probably do this honestly with all of them at this point. I've started to really perfect the idea of utilizing hot sauce to make my own salad dressing. But that
Oh, nice.
Reaper Riptide, it sounds like it would be absolutely phenomenal with like a fresh, more of like a slaw type of salad and a little bit
Hmm.
of grilled, like nice charring on that grilled chicken chopped up in there. Oh, I bet that would be so
Yeah,
amazing. So,
that'd be really good for sure.
yeah. Oh, oh man. All right. Well, I do have a very fun game planned, and let's go ahead and kick it on over there. Why don't we? All right, so here we go. We have the the Sauce Gauntlet 25. Now, for all those that are keeping track, just to go ahead and put the disclaimer out there for everyone watching and listening. Now, just because a sauce gets cut does not mean that you absolutely hate it and you would never touch it again. It's just simply something has to go in order for there to be a declared winner. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into this. All right. So up first, we have the battle of, this is Hell's Kitchen Ginger Devil versus the Spicy Sharks. This is the Caribbean Heat or Caribbean Reef Shark. Which would you like to take forward?
Let's go with the ginger sauce.
All right. Let's go ahead and get an X on that one. Move it on down. And we got Da Bomb Beyond Insanity versus, the Last Dab Experience.
Oh, well, I would have to go with the last dab because I've heard the bomb doesn't really taste that good.
Yeah, that's a very, very fair point there. It just it does a job, and that job is to inflict, perceived pain. It definitely does that.
Yes.
All right, so we have Volcanic Peppers Chocolate Lightning versus, Chocolate Plague. So battle of the, chocolates here.
Oh, let's go ahead and roll with volcanic peppers.
All right. Easy enough. That's a great sauce. And let's go ahead and go to the next one. We got Melinda's Red Savina versus Mikey's Texas X's.
Well, I've seen Mikey's around, especially on social media. So let's go ahead and give him a shout out and roll with his sauce.
All right. I like it. Shaping up nicely. One side done. Let's go ahead and get on over to this other one. And then we have Elijah's Extreme Regret versus, this is Swampadelic from Primo's Peppers.
All right, let's do Elijah.
All
Let's
right.
go with his sauce.
Elijah's Extreme moving on. And we are going to check out the next two. So we have Stanky, another sauce company out of Florida. This is the Classico, a newer one from them. And then we have Miletta's. This is the fire roasted Serrano sauce.
Well, let's go ahead and do Miletta's.
All
I
right.
actually met Derek's father last November at Daddlefest, and he came and actually got sauce from me. So
Nice. Great, great guys. Been on the
yeah.
podcast before. Great, great time for sure. Murder by Primo from Jersey Barnfire and Hellfire for First Blood. Duking it out here. Who do you have going forward?
Let's go with Hellfire.
All right. And then up next, we have High Desert Sauce Company with the Hotter Adobo versus, well, this is K. John's. This is that small batch ghost pepper sauce.
Well, I'm gonna have to roll with Zach Perkins and High Desert Sauce Company on this one.
All right. Easy enough. Well, here we go. We are now shaking this thing out to a nice, we got the final 8 right here. Let's get this moved back over there. There we go. All right. So up first, we have Ginger Devil versus the Last Dab Experience.
I will choose the ginger. I'm a big ginger fan, so let's
I
go ahead and
like it.
move that one on to the next one.
Do you enjoy ginger and lemongrass together or just ginger by itself?
Ginger by itself.
All right. I like it.
Anything ginger, I love.
I like it. I also use a lot of ginger. Ginger, turmeric, cumin are very common spices to use when I'm cooking at home.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
same here.
all right. So Chocolate Lightning versus Texas Exes.
Uh, let's go ahead and roll with Mikey V's again.
All right. Where did my? There it is. Boom. All right. Now we are looking at Extreme Regret from Elijah's Extreme versus the Fire Roasted Serrano from Miletta's.
Let's do Elijah's Extreme.
All right. I'm starting to see a little bit of a trend here, a pattern, if you will, on the selection. So we'll see how this next one plays out. We got the Hotter Adobo versus First Blood.
HDS SC.
All right.
Zach Perkins.
All right. I see it. It's coming together now. There's a battle of flavor with one outlier being the battle for heat. So let's go ahead and take this on over here. We have Ginger Devil versus Texas Exes.
Let's go back to the ginger.
All
Gotta
right.
move that one on.
Let's go ahead and make this one bigger for dramatic effect. And throw an X on there. And now we have High Desert Sauce Company versus Elijah's Extreme.
Let's go with High Desert.
All right, High Desert it is. Battle of the Flavor. And, well, gotta get that over there. Now we're down to the final. This is it. Who do you have winning this all?
Let's go ahead and let's just go ahead and give it to High Desert Sauce Company. Zach's been good to me, and he's helped me out through the past year, giving me advice with rolling with this company and everything. So definitely got to give him support.
All right, there we go. Winner is Hotter Adobo, the Sauce Gauntlet 25 there. An absolute blast throughout this. Now, were there any of these that, more so you weren't quite as familiar with? Or is there some of these that were, a little bit more challenging to see pitted up against one another?
Yeah, there was challenging because some of them I haven't really even tried or heard of. But I ended up going with High Desert, like I said, because he's been supporting me throughout the past year. So, and also Elijah, he's a really good guy as well. And Mikey B, I just saw him, pop up, and we would say hey to each other and stuff. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I had to give it to Zach.
Very nice, very nice. Well, it's always there. The game is a little bit of a mental cleanse, a mental refresh as we get ready to wind out the rest of the episode. Now, this next part is the nugget of knowledge. Now, this one we're going to gear towards those individuals that, maybe they have had this overall drive to maybe they're creating their own sauces at home, or but they're not too certain if that's the right move for them to take that next step. What would your nugget of knowledge be towards those individuals?
I mean, number one is, are you passionate enough about it? Like, because it's not just make hot sauce in your kitchen and then go and try and sell it. Because there's tons of hot sauce companies out there, and you got to do your research and first focus on your local market. And then once you get a good following there, that's kind of what I did. I have a good local base where I'm at in Palm Coast, where I've had my locals just hit me up and say, "Hey, I need to get more sauce," and so you get kind of a business standpoint from there. And then can you do it? Like I work a full time job and I do this full time. There will be days where I'd work all day, go home, pack the car, drive 30 minutes to my commercial kitchen, make 200 bottles, and then come home, do it all over again the next day. It's time consuming. You have to do it the right way. Legit, get your food permit, do your research, food safety manager course, because people can get sick, especially if you're not culinary trained, you know. Uh, and as far as kind of making yourself stand out, that's the hardest thing for anybody. Um, you can sit there and make your company, and you can sell an order maybe a couple times out of a month, and then you lose your confidence in that because you're like, well, what am I doing wrong? No one's buying from me. You just got to look past that because that'll happen. It happened to me. At one point last year, I was like, is this, even worth it? But I stuck my head down. I stayed passionate about it, and and I'm at almost 1,600 followers on Facebook now, closing in on 700 on Instagram. My engagement on my posts is, it's not just like one like on my posts. I'm getting multiple comments, multiple likes, and everything like that, and it makes you feel good,
Absolutely.
that you're being noticed in this world of hot sauce, where everyone's got a hot sauce company. It seems like these days, and also to have this opportunity to come on the podcast with you to kind of share my backstory and everything was also another awesome opportunity for me to kick off the new year too. So
Well, I greatly appreciate that. Yeah, the next part here is greatly beneficial. This is the hot seat nomination. This is someone that you think would make a great guest for the show.
there's a guy named Max Decker with the Notorious Hot Sauce Company, based out of California. Me and him talk every day. We kind of let each other, know how we're doing, and advice and everything like that. I think he'd be a really good, fun guy to have on the podcast. He's killing it over there. He's also a fellow chef, so he's definitely very passionate about everything he's doing over there. He doesn't just do hot sauce. He does catering, and I think he's trying to do his own food truck or something with barbecue out there as well. So I'm sure he would have a lot to share on your podcast, and would be a good option for you.
All right. Well, Max, I'll be reaching out and we'll have time to have you on the podcast. So I appreciate that nomination. Thank you so much. And this last part here is greatly
Yeah.
beneficial for those that are just audio only listeners. Where can they find you? How can they find you? And any kind of announcements that you want to make, this is a perfect opportunity for that.
Yeah, so my website is swindlesauce.com. I'm active on social media, Facebook, Instagram. You just search Swindle Sauce and you'll find me. I also have a big collaboration with a comic book company. The name of the comic book company is Heartline Comics. He found me on Instagram and he just said he loves the way my hot sauces look. He thought they were cool. We started chatting, and we figured out a sauce that we wanted to do. It's a chipotle lime sauce, and he wanted a mild sauce, so that's what I came out with. And we used his comic book character called Menace. It's his main character. You can actually find them on Instagram too, Heartline Comics. And this is what the bottle looks like here. I'll have two purchase options. This is just the standard if you want to eat it up. And then if you're into collecting, I'll have a collector's edition that'll be dipped in pink wax. Their slogan is "We bleed pink." That's why I went with the pink wax on it. Um, and by the time you see this, you should be live on my store. So just look out for that. And also, if you are listening to this, I have a special discount code for the listeners. Just use code podcast for 15% off your order. Um, I ship out next day, and I'd really appreciate the support.
Absolutely. Well, Richard, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. Obviously, there's still so much more we can dive into, different areas of interest, different areas of inspiration, and of course, the overall watching the growth happen and in real time and being able to, champion you in those moments. So I'd love to have you back on the podcast.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity again.
Richard, thank you so much for coming on. If you would like to keep up with Swindle sauces, I will have the direct links down below, as well as a link to the main site so you can check out the full lineup of amazing products. And don't forget that promo code that he just mentioned, using podcast for 15% off of your order. And check out that new collaboration sauce that he has dropping. It should be out and up on his website now, so go ahead and head on over there. If you're a Chipotle lover, if you love comics, head on over there, grab yourself a bottle, and check out the rest of the lineup. I mean, there's 6 sauces. There's definitely 7 days out of the week. You could definitely find yourself a nice sauce for any occasion in that lineup. So head on over there, check those out. Also wanted to say that new episodes will be dropping out here frequently. We will be likely scaling to a once a week rotation here with, occasionally a secondary episode dropping now. Periodic, but just trying to focus and shift as we're doing some updates to the overall studio, as well as to a few different areas, and really trying to get everything honed in and buttoned up. So definitely appreciate every single one of y'all, whether you've been rocking since day one or you just recently found the podcast. Thank you all so much for what y'all do. Continue to share this out with other like-minded chili heads or individuals that are curious about the world of hot, because this is where you can find everything to do with the world of hot. Also, if you're on a platform that allows for a rating of the podcast, please go ahead, leave a 5-star rating. That helps us get in front of the algorithm and helps get the word out in front of others. Quick shout out that we do have sponsorship opportunities available. If you are wanting to sponsor the podcast, if you want to have a featured sponsored segment, go ahead, reach out via theswearword.net or on socials, and we'll get that conversation started there. Quick shout out for our current sponsors, podvision.io. If you're looking to grow your brand, start your brand, you've hit a bump in the road, you're trying to figure things out, highly recommend checking out podvision.io for all of those needs, as well as webdx.one. Maybe you have an online site. Maybe you had a guy at one point and you lost contact with them. Maybe you never got around to building one. Highly recommend checking out webdx.one for all of those needs. Best of all, they get you looking great online while you get to focus on what you do best. I'm Brandon Swear, and from everything from the world of hot, this has been The Swear Word.